Yeehaw! Welcome back to Whip Tips, you four-wheel drive nut jobs. Got a loud sound coming from the rear of your ride? You've been searching for days trying to find out why your Jeep or truck or whatever it is you drive sounds like it's roaring, but in a bad way, not the engine, like a roar that shouldn't be there. Can't pinpoint its location, and you've jacked up your rear and tried the old jiggle the tire from top to bottom, then side to side, and everything seems fine. There was no movement at all. You even tried spinning the tire, and that sounds A-OK. Well, I've got some bad news. None of that means crap if you're driving a solid axle vehicle. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. Sometimes you get an indication that you've got a bad bearing. My case got no indication by doing those things. I was fooled by those sloppy bastards who drive independent suspensions. Solid axles are a different breed. They're an old school type of vehicle from a time long past and forgotten. What the hell am I talking about? There are tons of solid axle vehicles out there still being made today, so listen up. One caveat to this video. This is about what to do when looking for a bad bearing in your rear solid axle. The front axles are a different story. And in this case, it's the outer bearing, the one closest to the wheel. Most solid axles, if not all, if I'm not mistaken, have an inner bearing closer to their differential. So this is the outer bearing. This first thing is this picture right here. Sorry, I'm losing my mind. This is the kind of bearing that I find in my Jeep. And I'm using my Jeep as an example, but this could apply to a lot of vehicles. In the case of my Jeep, the rollers make direct contact at 13 points against the axle. There's no inner race. So once one or more of these rollers start to go bad, it starts chewing on the axle, and you can wind up with this: a deep groove chewed into the steel and an axle that has just ripped your seal to shreds, so now you're spilling diff fluid all over your rear brakes. That's not good. And here's what happened to me. I noticed the roar, so listen to this. It sounded just like this. So after I heard that, I tried the jiggling tire thing and thought, oh, the roar, it didn't, I got no indication that there's anything wrong by jiggling my tires. So I thought, oh, the roar must be coming from my transfer case bearing. And I'll go ahead and rebuild it because I've been meaning to anyway. I knew I had a spinning bearing in there and had to do a rebuild. But I might as well do that. Nope. Next thing I know, my brake pedal is vibrating like my iPhone every time I brake, and it's having trouble stopping. I says to myself, says I, what the hell could that be? So I looked under my rear end, not that rear end, you dirty boy, and black fluid was seeping out of my axle at the far wheel end. My heart sank. Not only had my bearing gone bad, it had reached the point where the seal failed, so I pulled my axles and saw the damage, both axles. As long as I had to replace one bearing, I was going to replace both, so I got them both out of there. Luckily, there were no grooves. Yeah, the bearings had started to wear the axle on both sides, but I tested the new bearings and those fit snugly. So the question is, how should I have tested? How can you test for bad bearings on a solid axle so that you can be sure? And that's simple. Here it is. Well, if you're going to start looking for this kind of stuff, you're going to have to jack up your car. So before I jack up mine, what I do is I usually break the lug nuts loose first, because it's hard to do that when you've got a spinning wheel. So do that when it's on the ground. And then, of course, if you're going to jack up your car, you've got to have a hydraulic jack. Hopefully you have that. I use that wood to protect my pumpkin. And I definitely have jack stands. You want to be safe. When you're doing this job, you don't want the car crashing down on you. Always be safe, please. Wear eye protection, gloves, etc. So this is what you're going to be looking at once you remove the wheel. In my case, in my Jeep, I have rear drum brakes. I've gone ahead and removed the drum already. All you do is pull that off. Use this opportunity to check your shoes, your brake shoes, and in this case, they're fine. And you can see from this, with a solid axle where there's no diagonal kind of play, it just sits there. If you have the wheel on and you jiggle it side to side or from top and bottom, it's not going to show you anything. I mean, maybe in some cases it will, but in my case, just doing that, basically proved nothing. The vehicle also is not under load, so if you spin it, I didn't hear any of the roaring noise or any kind of indication. What I had to do was lift it up and down. See how I'm lifting up on that lug nut or that stud? Lift that axle section right there up and down and see if there's any play. Side to side might not tell you anything. It's up and down. And so when I did that, right now I've got a new bearing in there, so there's no movement. When I did it with my old bearing, 2 to 3 millimeters of movement up and down. It was going clunk, clunk, clunk. So at that point I knew, oh man, I have a problem. This bearing and probably the other one on the other side are going bad or are bad. And then when I looked underneath, this is where I saw the differential fluid just coming out of, flowing. Black, greasy stuff coming right out of there, and also in that rubber seal down at the bottom there. And, when I opened up my diff cover, I could see the bits of metal in the fluid as well. So yeah, this thing had really gone a long way toward failure, and I'm lucky I caught it when I did. So do yourself a favor, check it this way. That's it. That's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching. Doc out. Oh, you made it to the end. That's awesome. Listen, I'm Doc. I'm the one who's, the voice behind these videos. And I really appreciate you taking the time to actually watch the whole thing. That's fantastic. If you've got time, if you want to, if you like the video, hit like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the bell button so you get notified of new videos when I put them up. I'm going to try and do one a week. And I'm going to do a bunch of Instagram stuff, so make sure you follow me there and on Twitter. Instagram's going to be the shorter stuff. I don't have any merchandise yet. I'm planning to, as the channel grows. If I succeed, I'll get some merch. For now, if you really want to help me in another way, you like these videos enough, I'm going to put links to my books in the description of the video. I'm a science fiction author in my spare time as well, so I'm juggling a lot of balls. But anyway, I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you at the next one. Hey, do me a favor and turn this junk off. I don't know how to deal with tech.